I'm Denise Phillips, professional chef and cookery writer. Welcome to Northwood United Synagogue. It is Rosh Hashanah around the corner and I wanted to share some wonderful tasty recipe. This is the recipe that I'm going to demonstrate in a minute. It is a fig and date honey pie. But the fig is actually the star of the show. Perhaps you're entertaining or you've got family to stay. This recipe is very much an all-inclusive recipe. It is non-dairy, it is vegan, and it can be made gluten-free. So, as I say, it's an all-inclusive recipe and you can make it in advance. The special ingredient is this fig. Now, I wanted to connect it with the beautiful ways of what happens over Rosh Hashanah. So we learn that in Bereshis, that Adam and Eve, when they discover that they are naked, they cover themselves with fig leaves. Also, the fig is actually plentiful and abundance at this time of year. It is a good example of a fruit that we can say on the second day of Rosh Hashanah, the Sheki on you blessing. Figs also are symbolic of fertility, peace and prosperity, which is some of the omens that we wish for at this time of year. And it's also one of the 7 species. And the others, according to the Torah, there are a few foods that made ancient Israel agriculture. And the others being wheat, barley, grapes, pomegranates, olives and dates. So again, a wonderful reason to use figs on your menu. And on a spiritual level, figs take a long while to ripen. It takes over 3 months on the tree. But as soon as you pick them, you should eat them on the day or very soon after. And symbolically and similarly, according to Jewish wisdom, this reminds us always to observe our teachers closely and harvest the fruits of knowledge from those around us, and every day with patience, care and diligence. So, as I say, this is a recipe that's meaningful as well at this time of the year. All the recipes that I have, including this one, are on my website, jewishcookery.com, or on my Instagram, Denise's_kitchen. So let's start cooking. I'm going to move that to one side. What you need first is a tartlet tin that you can remove the base, baking parchment. Oh, I love those. Really, really useful. Means that you do not need to grease the tin at all. And this recipe, quite frankly, all you need to do is put everything in the food processor. So as I'm going to move that to one side, bring over my food processor and add the ingredients. So let's add firstly your margarine, plant-based butter, because I say it is vegan recipe. Then we're adding the brown sugar. Going to give that a quick whiz. So that's now started to be combined. We're now going to add, and this is plain flour. So those that are gluten-free can use gluten-free flour. This is baking powder. Again, you can get gluten-free baking powder. Vanilla extract. I'm going to give that another little whiz. Flavouring more. This is lemon zest. Give that a tap. Taking off just the lemon zest part. Give that a tap to include plant-based milk. Give that another whiz. Ground almonds. Let's mix that together. honey silent. Really great, good substitute from honey. Fantastic flavour, all completely natural. And again, one of the significant omens at this time of the year. Give that another mix. So we're more or less done with that. Nothing difficult, really isn't hard at all. I've got some toasted almonds. It may be your minhag not to have nuts at this time of the year. It is optional. I'm just going to stir in a few here. Give it a quick mix. So let's add this delicious, delicious mixture to our prepared cake tin. So let's just take all that mixture, remove the blade and add it to the tin. So you need to preheat your oven, 160 degrees centigrade, gas mark 4. Get that oven hot. It's actually better to cook this slowly on a lowish heat rather than 180. You don't want it to burn, and it is cooked when it is completely set. It also, you think it's not quite cooked, but once it cools, it does set. So I would recommend you do make this in advance, because it does, in fact, cut better when it is cool. So let's just spread this mixture right to the very edges. So nothing challenging about this. All included tasty recipe with figs and date honey. Date honey you can get at all the kosher supermarkets. Let's just remove every bit of that mixture. And then I'm going to add the fresh figs. Nearly ready with that. And when you're using your figs, I would say cut them open just to check there's no insects in them. Just double check those. All right, I'm finished with my mixture. I'm going to bring that up to the screen so you can see. Pushing it with a little teaspoon to the very edges. So this is the mixture. I have got some figs already sliced. In the recipe it says cut the figs in quarters. My particular figs are really big, so I've actually sliced them into about 8 pieces. So be aware there are smaller figs, so I'll leave you to make the judgment how you cut them. I'm fanning this all round the sides, giving it a nice pretty pattern, just pushing them in, and then press the figs in just a little bit into the mixture before you bake it, just adding them all. Now this used 4 figs, so again it depends how big the figs are. I got my figs from my local greengrocers, and they are, as I say, at their very best in the month of September. Nice pretty pattern here. Odd numbers are always good, so I'm just going to put one more there, add this to the edge here, and now we're going to add just a sprinkling of a few more almonds to the topping of this delicious, delicious cake. I'll bring that up to the screen so that you can see what I have. There you go. This is what it looks like. Let me bring you back to the cooked recipe. It takes about 45 minutes to bake. I'm just going to cut this onto the side so you can see what it looks like inside. A beautiful, beautiful mixture, which I'm sure you will enjoy. Going to finish it off with a little dusting of icing sugar. And I would only do this, as I say, just before you're going to cook that. Of course, Shabbos you can't. So what I wanted to do now is just to wish you a fabulous, happy new year, Lashana Tova, best wishes, Denise. And now I'd like to bring on my Rabbi Shaya Green from Northwood United Synagogue to share the spiritual message. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Denise. That really looks wonderful. Hello, everyone. I'm Rabbi Shaya Green from Northwood United Synagogue. Now, aside from the delicious treats that we will all be enjoying at our Rosh Hashanah meals and our tables, we will also be going to shul to hear the shofar. Although this year it will just be on the second day, since the first day falls out on Shabbat. Now, there are many reasons given as to why we sound the shofar on Rosh Hashanah. Some say it is like an alarm clock to wake us up from our existential slumber and remind us what our mission in life is all about. Many years ago, when they did not have fire engines and they did not have electric fire alarms and houses were made out of wood, a fire would be a catastrophic thing. A fire could engulf, it could consume a village quicker than anyone would have time to react. In many villages, there was a watchman on a watchtower, and he would watch for a sign of smoke, a smell of smoke, a sight of fire. And he would sound the alarm and alert the villagers as to what they had to do to extinguish the fire. They would all leave their businesses, their work, what they were doing, and form a human chain from the well to the fire in order to extinguish it. It once happened that a villager from a faraway town was visiting the village, and he stopped on the outskirts of town when he heard the sound of the bugle. Stopping a passerby, he asked him, "What is the significance of that sound? What does it mean?" They informed him that that is the sound that alerts us to a fire. When we hear that sound, we know what we have to do in order to extinguish the fire. What a wonderful idea, thought the villager. I'll take this back with me to the village. He bought a bugle and he approached his village and gathered everyone together. Come and look what a wonderful idea I have taken from another place. And this is what will help us to no longer fear fire. We will be able to extinguish fire and live peacefully. He proceeded to ignite the nearest hut on fire. "Do not be scared," he announced. As he blew the bugle, he said, "This is what will help us to extinguish the fire." The fire spread quickly. "Do not be alarmed," he said, calmly and confidently. However, the fire did not care much for the sound of the bugle, and it jumped from one roof to another until it had consumed the entire village. The villagers now began to harshly admonish and rebuke this villager. "You fool," they cried. "Did you think that the trumpet alone would put out the fire? It is merely an alarm call to wake people up, to tear them away from their businesses, to bring them in all together, and we will, one as one, go to the well, bring water to extinguish the fire." I'm reminded of this story when thinking about the shofar we will sound on Rosh Hashanah. While listening to the shofar has an intrinsic value, being that it is a mitzvah, there is another element to the shofar as well. Just like the bugle is an alarm call to wake us up, reminds us to rid ourselves of intolerance, judgment, anger, and injustice, these things which threaten our inner peace. But just like the villager in the story, we must be aware that merely sounding the shofar is not enough. We must enter into a spiritual gym and train ourselves and be ready to do all of the work that comes along with the sounding of the shofar. On behalf of everyone at Northwood United Synagogue, I wish you all a ksiva v'chasima toiva. May we all be written and sealed for a good, healthy, and sweet new year. Thank you very much.